Hello, people out there in YouTube, VC, whoever stops by. Thanks for stopping by. This is Tony's LPs Are Us. I'm Tony. I want to thank everyone who have subbed, and if you haven't subbed, please sub. Kind of have to get that out there. It's a prerequisite, but I really appreciate it, and I'm really digging all the comments. I'm getting a lot of good feedback lately, and I'm making a lot of connections with you out there, VCers, and anyone who just stops by. If they're looking at the title of my segment, I do comparisons with new MoFi records versus the original, the new Rhino High Fidelity versus the original. So if I have that record and I have an original or an OG copy, I do an AB and just give you my impression. It's just my impression, but I tell you how I feel. It's all the truth. I critically listen to these records, and I just give you some feedback, and you could give me feedback. Like I said, it's just my opinion. But thanks for all the subs. If you haven't subbed, please feel free to sub. I really appreciate it. But this is about the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. This Saturday on the 19th, it's October 19th, Saturday night at the Cleveland Rocket Mortgage Fieldhouse in Cleveland, there will be the ceremony. All those great bands and artists from all genres of music will be inducted. I'm not going to go over who's inducted. The lists are online. You can look them up. What I'm talking about here is the bands that aren't inducted and have not been inducted, and you're going to be shocked. I just picked a baker's dozen, and my last one is a special pet peeve with me, because I believe this solo artist should have been in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame a long time ago. So I'm going to save him for last. But this is a baker's dozen. These were basically in alphabetical order. These bands have sold hundreds of millions of copies of records, because one or two of these artists could have sold 50 million records on their own. And it's not just about the record sales. It's about their place in history, their place in rock and roll history, their place in American music. And you'll see what I mean when I start to get into these bands. Now, these bands are not in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. I only took 13. I could have did 25. I was going through lists, and I knew certain bands weren't in it from friends talking about it. So here we're going to go right now. First one up, this band, America. Debut record, 1971. Not in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. A Horse with No Name. This is the hype sticker. This is an original OG with shrink, and believe it or not, the price on this, I picked this up at a used, and the record's like excellent, for $1 at this great record store called Spin Me Round, which is not too far from where I am. It's in Pennsylvania. So Horse with No Name, not in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. America, Horse with No Name. They've had multiple hits. Ventura Highway. Just on this record alone, they should have been inducted. This has Riverside, Four Roses, Children, Here, I Need You, so on and on and on. Not in the Hall of Fame. Why, we don't know. This band, very influential. Very influential in rock and roll, and it's just a staple. Their songs are staples. Of course, Argent. Ron Argent. This has Hold Your Head Up, the great Ron Argent tune. And here's the gatefold. If you could see that, I'll hold this up a few seconds. I think a lot of time I'll take these down too quickly because I'm trying to get through these segments. This has a little booklet inside, I think, or a flap, and it actually will tell you who's on the front cover. But Argent, Ron Argent was in the Zombies. Argent is not in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Very influential. I was, talking to people who served in Vietnam. They were listening to this stuff. Oh, and by the way, this is only bands I chose are from the 60s and 70s. I did not go into the 80s. There's bands like Sade. She's not in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. But I didn't go into the 80s. Go-Go's are not. So I just kept it 60s and 70s. But Argent is not. This is incredible. Bad Company. Paul Rogers and Bad Company. Good Loving God Bad on this record. Shooting Star. Is Shooting Star about Morrison, about Hendrix? You know, if you listen to those words, Janis Joplin, maybe even Robert Johnson, right? But not in the Hall of Fame. Why? And Paul Rogers is not in the Hall of Fame, and Free is not in the Hall of Fame. Another Paul Rogers vehicle, okay? This one's going to shock you if you're into high energy, concert rock and roll, garage rock and roll, but on that level where they went global. Grand Funk Railroad. And if you have a round album that looks like a silver dollar or E Pluribus Funk, you should be in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame just on your album design, okay? A very difficult design to manufacture. I don't even know how the record comes out, but, you know, so here it is. Here's the slot. I'll show you this one. Grand Funk. Oh, here's the inner. The inner is even round. Probably haven't seen that on a lot of YouTube videos. Okay, so E Pluribus Uno, Grand Funk, and this has someone's name on it, which I picked it up at a yard sale, I guess. This is called Grand Funk Railroad, not in the Hall of Fame. Forget about it. Staple, right? Why? We don't know. This band from Long Island, New York, Blue Oyster Cult, not in the Hall of Fame. This record alone should have gotten them. I remember once doing a video where if Elvis didn't do anything except these cuts, the sides at Sun Studios, he would have been a legend. He would have been in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. If the Beatles only did the first Meet the Beatles or Love Me Do album from England, they should have been in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. So my point is, these guys probably sold 60 million records. Not only it's not a popularity contest, the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, but it really is. But you got to give, you know, these bands that other bands built their template, their blueprint of how they wanted to rock. How many bands got together because they saw Blue Oyster Cult in a little club in Long Island, a little club in New York, a little club in Boston? And that brings me to another band, Boston. Boston is not in the Hall of Fame. Here we have OG Boston, Orange Epic, not in the Hall of Fame. They started a whole trend of synthesizers and these studios in the house, right? Hendrix had a studio he built. They built a studio in their home. They were doing recordings in their house. They're pure rock and roll, garage to the basement, pure rock and roll. Long time, More Than a Feeling. This thing probably sold 25 million copies its first year. So not in the Hall of Fame. This band's really it's hard to understand. Harold Melvin and the Blue Notes. This is their just greatest hits. I love this record. It sounds so good. The Love I Lost, Bad Luck, If You Don't Know Me By Now, Wake Up Everybody. They're not in the Hall of Fame. And of course, Teddy Pendergrass, the late great Teddy Pendergrass, was in that group at that time before he went solo. Not in the Hall of Fame. How come? There's a lot of lesser bands, in my opinion, for whatever reason, are in, but that's cool. It's not, like I said, I'm not begrudging them, but these bands, come on. This band, ELP, Emerson, Lake and Palmer, Works. When you got an album that's called Works, and this is only part one, you have part two of Works, which is a white cover, right? This is a triple album. Each side goes to a particular member of the band. Palmer, Lake, and Greg Emerson somewhere. I met Greg Emerson at a convention. He really didn't want to talk to me too much. I wasn't buying any autographs and I wasn't a chick. But I know a girl, I'm not going to mention her name. She knows these guys. She knew them personally. She knew Greg and Carl. And what's the other one? Emerson, Keith Emerson. She knew them personally, so she really dug them. But they didn't want to talk to me because I was a guy. But that's just, I think so anyway. This is a boys cover. They're not in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Probably sold what, 40 million records, right? This guy, this band, Humble Pie, Peter Frampton, and the other dude, Moriarty, not in the Hall of Fame. This record alone is rock and roll to its core. This record, just with this record, they should be in the Hall of Fame. Steve Moriarty died too young. He died in a fire. He may have fell asleep. He was out that night. They don't know, but I think it was a cigarette that started this blaze and this poor tragedy. And here's the inner. Humble Pie, Peter Frampton was with this at this time, rocking the Fillmore, not in the Hall of Fame. This band, who I know, I talked to some Vietnam vets, and one in particular, that said they would listen to this record over there in Nam, fighting for democracy, fighting for the U.S., fighting to free a people. They were listening to In-A-Gadda-Da-Vida, Iron Butterfly, an oxymoron, right? Like Led Zeppelin. They were looking for it. This is a nice, I believe this is the first pressing. Here's the back. Now, it's not just about In-A-Gadda-Da-Vida. Like I said, it's about their place in our history, in our American history. Now, I don't know what the criteria is to be inducted or be nominated, then get inducted. And get voted on, but it's some people say it's political. Some people say bad company. Paul Rogers isn't in there for politics, but why is there politics in music, right? In entertainment. Here's a great record. It's a great copy, rather, and I'll show you the actual label. A yellow Atco. For all you label people out there. So, Iron Butterfly. And remember, this is only 60s and 70s groups, and this is only a baker's dozen. The last one is a special pet peeve of mine. I've always, whenever I go on his YouTube page, I always throw in a, why aren't you in the Hall of Fame, right? Here's a Steven Wilson reissue of Aqualung, Jethro Tull, believe it or not. And this is a nice presentation. It's got the book. It's got a nice sleeve. This rivals the UHQR. The UHQR, of course, is better. It's worth a lot more money. These are readily available. Steven Wilson remix. I love this. Really cool. Jethro Tull, Ian Anderson and the boys. I saw a bar a couple years ago at a free concert not too far from here. He did a whole Tull show. He had a person singing lead who was actually playing flute and would actually play flute on one leg, right? Oh, and by the way, before I forget, I was actually at an April 2010, I believe, Hall of Fame show at the Barclays Center in Brooklyn. It was April 10th, 2014. I got tickets. The E Street Band and Bruce was being inducted. Kiss was being inducted. Cat Stevens, a bunch of people. It was just a great. I actually went with my daughter. We drove to Brooklyn. We parked. We walked over. Great time. We had great seats. It was great to see Bruce. Bruce and the band did a whole set. Kiss didn't play. I don't believe Kiss played. There was some controversy on certain guys weren't getting inducted with them. But Cat Stevens put on a great show. And of course, so did Bruce. So that was April 10th at the Barclays Center. But I went there because Bruce, Kiss, I was lucky enough. They were actually selling tickets. Their tickets were very accessible. Okay, the next band that very influential and just like a staple in the 60s and 70s and even to this day, one of the persons in this group. That's Sonny and Cher. They are not in the Hall of Fame. What I do is I pulled out a mono and a stereo or a stereo and a mono. And just so cool. Sonny and Cher and their friends, the Letterman, Bill Medley and the Blenders are on here, greatest hits. Baby Don't Go, Love Is I Surrender. It's Sonny and Cher and friends, right? But it's like a greatest hits. And who else is on here? The Letterman, Bill Medley, and the Blenders. Don't know. Caesar and Leo are on here, but the stereo and the mono, and believe it or not, they're not in the Hall of Fame. There's something, I don't know if Cher's getting in it this year or she refused because I don't really know. I'm not into it, the politics of it. But Cher's not in it yet unless she gets in on Saturday, and she had a lot of hesitation because she really thought that Sonny should be involved. Now Cher has had a hit song for 7 decades, right? At least 7, maybe 6, maybe 7, but definitely 6 decades. Now this guy, I've seen him play at least 5 times ever since I was a young lad on his television show, and this is Tom Jones. So I met Tom Jones a few times. Here he signed this record for me. Really great guy, very humble. Whenever he speaks about himself, he's speaking in the third person. And whenever he does a duet with someone, just take it. It's like Elvis. He's always better than whoever he's singing with. He's always better. He doesn't think he's better. He doesn't act like he's better, but he's better. Some of the blues that he does on Martin Scorsese's blues series that was on PBS, I believe. Some of the blues he did with Jeff Beck and Van Morrison on those CDs. I don't believe they're on vinyl. If they are, they would be astronomically priced, but they're on CD and you can find those. But the blues he does with Beck, and he's a rock and roller. He only has 1 Grammy. That Grammy is for Best New Artist, 1964. He did Thunderball from a Bond movie, knocked it out of the park. One of the iconic, I've seen him do it live, and he doesn't do Thunderball live too much, but there he is. It's not unusual. I'll Never Fall in Love Again. What's New, Pussycat? Love Me Tonight. She's a Lady. Delilah. Help Yourself. Daughter of Darkness. Green Green Grass, A Home. He's not in the Hall of Fame. Now, that's a tragedy, okay? Out of all these other people, they're all rockers, but Tom Jones has been around for 70 years as well, right? So just think about that. Let me know what you think about this little segment. It's just a little rant type of thing. Like I said, it's not a popularity contest. It's whatever. It's who's ever voting at that time. But the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame is a really cool place. Got to go there once. Want to go back because now I want to be able to take my time and really enjoy this. That whole hall. They changed the inside a lot. They'll have special rooms. When we went there was a special Elvis room. There was Elvis's television set that he kind of shot out one night when he was doing target practice. There was a Bruce special room area with movies and handwritten lyrics. It's just a great spot to go. I want to go back there someday. But Tom Jones not in the Hall of Fame. Baker's dozen. Save the best for last. Keep rocking. I really appreciate it. Thanks for all the subs. And once again, if you haven't subbed, I would love you to sub. We're really trying to build the channel, get that, get those numbers up and get more views, right? That's what it's all about, and we have a lot of fun. So thanks a lot. Signing out. Stay safe, and we'll see you later. Ciao.